First, I'll introduce myself. I'm Chelsea Owens with Child Care Resource and Referral of Southeast Georgia. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator, and I assist Paula Clifton at Ogeechee Tech with things like um, supporting enrollment for their early childhood program. So today, Paula's just kind of going to walk us through what they do there at Ogeechee Tech. I have your slideshow ready to go, Paula, and I'll share my screen. But while I'm doing that, if you just want to take a minute and introduce yourself.
Okay, just had to take my mic off. Good morning, everybody. Well, good afternoon now. I hope everybody's doing very well. But I am Paula Clifton. I am the department head director for the early childhood program here at Ogeechee Technical College. And I'm also the advisor and also an instructor. However, we do have some good news. We do have a new full-time person coming on in spring, which is amazing. I've been begging and pleading for this for about 9 years. I started here about 10 years ago, and for 1 year, there was two of us. There was always two instructors here full-time, in addition to our adjunct instructors. Before I came, I don't know if they just felt I could handle it all or if it was budget or what was the concern. I did handle it all, but we need more of me here because we need more of me, more staff out in the community. We need to be out networking with childcare centers and community industry partners, and with the critical shortage we have of childcare employees, we are trying to get them trained here. We're also trying to get them trained in program administration so they can be owners and directors as well as lead teachers and assistants. And we're really wanting to spearhead this child care task force as well. Again, just to try to get some opportunities between us and the community to have more schools and centers around in our area as well. So we have a lot of challenges that we're going to be looking at, helping to hopefully overcome in the very near future. And it's also not only a short-term goal, but obviously a long-term goal as well. But I do have a slideshow here, so I'll go through that. But at any time, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to jump in, ask, raise your hand. I'll try to keep monitoring both screens. But of course, we're early child care and education. Our focus is birth to age 5. However, our content does go up to the end of early childhood, which would be public education, elementary school, K through 5 as well. But we teach from the GELD standards, which is the primary focus, again, birth through age 5. And in addition to me, I did say we did have 3 adjuncts, but we're down to 2 adjuncts right now. So, we do have right now 3 people on staff, but in spring we will have more on staff. I do want to explain our different programs of study that we have. We have 3 certificates of credit, and they're technical certificates of credit, TCCs is what we call them. The first one is the basics. That is just 3 courses, 9 credit hours. That is more or less the bare minimum to be able to walk into a school or a center and say you have some sort of credentials and are equipped to be able to work with young children. With that, the students will have training in intro to early childhood to really know child development and health, safety, nutrition. So they get to know the theorists, how children's psychology works at a minimal level at that point. And they will have pediatric first aid CPR training. So they can do that in 1 semester. Primarily, most of that is online. The next one they'll get, they can do, again, within 1 to 2 or 3 semesters, depending if they want to go full-time or part-time, is the child development specialist. And that is 5 courses. If the student wants to take that all in 1 semester, they have to take Employability 1000 in place of practicum, because we can't show them how to write a lesson plan and then day 1 send them to a school or a center and have them teach a lesson plan. So we have the option to do it in one semester or two. And then the third TCC we have is program administration. And we do that over 2 semesters. It's 3 classes, again, 9 credit hours. It is a standalone TCC, but it is also a concentration that's embedded in our degree as an option. So the program administration is if you want to be a program director or owner operator of a childcare center. So we have the 3 TCCs. Let's jump over to diplomas. But before we do, does anyone have any questions on the TCCs? I see there's one question in the chat, or maybe it's next we have a diploma. When we have new students coming, unless they have a specific criteria that they want a specific TCC, we will generally ask them to start as a diploma student first, even if they want to declare themselves a degree, which is great and wonderful. We're going to get them there. But with the diploma, we have free tuition under the Hope Career Grant. As long as they are Pell eligible, most of our students do qualify for that. So that's where most of our students start. At the diploma, it's the sequence of classes is the same the first year as it is for the degree. The difference between diploma and degree is there's 3 more early childhood classes, which are all available online. And then there's 5 more additional core classes, and they can take them online or in the classroom. So I'm going to jump back to the diploma. We are not an online only program. We're a hybrid model. So you'll see online and hybrid classes offered in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening. The evening classes generally are offered by the adjunct instructors, but we also generally put our students right into the early childhood courses to begin with. Some of our courses are offered every semester. Some are offered every other semester. Some are only offered once a year. We are a smaller college. We have a smaller staff. So our offerings are a little bit less than maybe some of the other colleges that are larger with more staff. And, but with the diploma courses, once they complete that, they'll be issued their diploma. And like I said, they have the option then, which I encourage them to go ahead and complete the degree. Like I said, 3 more early childhood classes and 5 more core classes. So they can finish their degree in 2 more semesters. And with a degree, there's 2 concentrations. The first one we just talked about, the program administration. The second concentration is paraprofessional. So if this is a platform to maybe get into the public school system, to work as a para, or to continue their studies into university to get a 4-year teaching degree, that's kind of where we will guide them with the paraprofessional concentration. If they're wanting to work in a child care center, open a child care center, be a director, we will direct them towards the program administration concentration. Any questions regarding our programs of study? Okay. And this is just another spreadsheet of looking at the 3 different certificates that we offer. The basics, it shows you those first 3 classes, ECCE 1101, 1103, and 1105. A lot of students can take those in high school as dual enrollment students here on campus or online. And then the child development TCC, those first 3 classes, which of course is the basic certificate, and 2 more classes. But like I said, you can't take 1112 and 1121 simultaneously. So if they want to do it in one semester, we will have them do Employability 1000 in place of the 1121 to get the same TCC. And then Program Administration is its own standalone TCC. It's 1103 and then the 2 Program Administration classes. We don't offer them right now simultaneously. Right now we offer them every other semester. Now that we have new staff coming on, our offerings hopefully will be, we'll offer that more often. Because we do, that's kind of, a lot of students are really wanting to come in and take those program administration courses. We're doing really well with those. And we're looking at partnering with some other nearby colleges, but of course throughout the state as well, with doing some, it was called eCampus, and now I believe it's going to be called Connect, where we can have offerings online. If I'm the host college, I'll be teaching the class, but any TCSG college in the state of Georgia can register those students in my program administration online, and the home college gets the credit. But there's a division. I think the host gets like 70% of the revenue. The home college gets 30% of the revenue. So we're working on some of our other colleges to do that with our program administration, and then also with our infant toddler certificate, which I don't offer, but another college does. So it's kind of like a win-win. They're going to put their program administration students in my class, and I'm going to put my infant and toddler students in their class. So we're all getting credit for that, but it's a win-win for us, but also for the students. It's giving us more offerings. So that will be coming, we'll probably be working on that in the spring semester, getting that rolling. Any questions about our TCCs and how they're offered? Okay, good, thank you. Okay, this came down from the TCSG that we can recognize the CDA and give credit for, let me go back. If they want to get a TCC, they can submit certain requirements to obtain a TCC in place of a CDA. There's a lot of benefits there. Once you have your TCC, it's yours forever. You don't have to renew it. It's not going to expire. It's still a recognized nationally credential for students. So at one point, we used to give the test for the CDA here. I don't know if we still are. A lot of times they would come to me by mistake instead of our assessment center. And I would tell them they have an appointment with the assessment center, but I'm like, have you thought of the TCC? So then they were unaware, and it's a lot more affordable if they have financial aid too, to obtain their TCC versus their CDA. Just another way of going around and getting that certification. Any questions regarding the CDA?
I have a question, Paula. So, what is required from that CDA holder, and what's the process to transfer that to a TCC? I've got a couple people that I need that to happen for, depending on the requirements.
And Chelsea could probably help me with this one, but there is a very specific, and I think it might be on the next slide. Let me check real quick. CDA credit request right here. They would need to be a student of ours to go through the admissions process. Right now, there's no fee November happening. So the $25 application fee is waived for the month of November, and we're registering now for spring semester. And then they submit the following documents to the registrar's office. A request for the CDA transfer document, the original CDA certificate that they've been issued, a current, and I want to put in front of here, pediatric CPR first aid certification, because they would have earned that in our 1105. But I always got to say it's the pediatrics. And then a signed letter by their employer on a company letterhead that states that they are an employee of the school or center.
And that's it?
And then it goes to the registrar's office, and we have not, I'm not sure if we've even done one of these yet, because not that this is new, but we're just trying to really push it out there.
I'm going to send you your first one. So
okay.
we'll walk through it together.
Yes.
And then we'll go through there, because my mom has a CDA. She just had to renew all her CDAs because that lasts for 5 years, right? So we just sent in all that paperwork, all that money. And so I want her to transfer that to TCC. So as soon as she gets her certificate, I'll be contacting the school and get her registered in. But so my question is, and maybe you can work on this before we go any further. Do they have to stay enrolled as a student and take additional classes, or will that standalone CDA transfer for a standalone TCC?
I will follow up on that. However, I
Okay.
do know when they get credit, they will earn ECC 1101, Intro to Early Childhood, and ECC 1103, Child Growth and Development. However, the student still does need to complete 1105 here to earn the basics TCC. And
So that's answering the question that they'll have to take an additional class.
right, well, I've got to confirm on that because with the information I've got from TCSG, that 1105, I need to just verify because with usually the home college, you got to take 75% of the courses to be issued the certificate, and that would not apply here, obviously. So I got to see how they would issue the certificate, whether they take one class that doesn't meet the 75% criteria, or if it is part of the embedded, if the process of
It
the
is so it's in part of the embedded process. So one thing I will say is they do have to have the original certificate. It cannot be a copy. The registrar's office has to fill that little seal, and then they'll make a copy saying that they have verified that it is a real. And then they'll give the original back to the owner of the CDA. But the registrar's office does have to fill the little seal. The other thing is what we're experiencing with other TCSGs is that they come in and they bring that information and it exempts them from 1101, 1103, but they do have to take 1105. But that is paid for by Hope Career Grant. So it's free, but they do have to take that to get the full CDA credit transfer request, is what we are hearing from the TCSGs currently. That might change, but as of right now, that was the last information I received as well. Is they do have to take that.
Not everybody qualifies for Hope, so it's going to be circumstantial.
Not everybody qualifies for Hope.
They have to be Pell eligible.
Yep, that's new. So
that's new. Okay.
So just so that you know that don't tell everybody it's free, because I just joined school again and I didn't even qualify. So yeah, it is.
That is new. That's news to me. Okay. That has not been covered in any of our other that they have to be Pell eligible. Thank you for that information, Paula and Michelle. I am sorry.
I have a flyer that will give you all the specific requirements for the Hope Career Grant. So I will send that to you.
Please send that to me and I can get that disseminated to our coaches, and that is something within the resource packet of sharing this link and sharing this webinar that they can share with other people as well.
And another thing I want to just get confirmation from TCSG is this came from the program specialist and the executive director and they're saying in this was from 2017, that they would allow 1101, 1103, and 1105 if they could show proof of all that documentation. So I don't know if they have updated it since 2017. So that's why I was kind of had the question regarding the 1105.
Perfect. Let's just get some follow-up on that. And we will also, when we send this out to people, we will send out that clarification when you get it back, and we will also attach the form that you talked about that talks about how the Pell Grant breaks down for the Hope. Thank you, Paula. Perfect.
All right. Okay. Is there another slide there after? I think. Okay, the fall 2025 class schedule. And this, of course, may change a little bit going into spring semester since we do have another full-time person. ECC 1101, we talked about already, 3 credits. Right now, it's available online only. ECC 1103 is also 3 credits. Right now, it's not a make or break. We do ask them to come in week 1 if they can, just because it helps them get started because they're new to Blackboard, which is our software for, doing your work. They're new to Cengage, which is our software for their e-readers, their textbooks. They're new to, we're new to a lot of these software programs myself. The scheduling, appointment reminders, Banner, there's so many new software. And without just that face-to-face, I think they can get sometimes a little lost, a little frustrated, and we're trying to overcome some of that. So I always recommend, it's not a requirement that they come in for week 1, but most of that would be done online. And then 1105, 3 credits. That's been Wednesdays, 1 to 4, very limited classes, some optional lab days. So, yes, the high school agreement, I'm looking at one of the questions. Awards credit for 1101 and 1103 along with appropriate NOCD score. Yes, I think the NOCD score has to be 70 or 80% and higher. And we have transferred those in to give credit for 1103 and 1101. And just touching on that a little bit further, we are starting a committee with our IFCC where all the directors meet twice a year and seeing if we can take practicum ECE 3 and give them more credit. And I don't know what it looks like yet because we haven't started this, but I believe the goal is to maybe give credit for 1105, but I'm not really sure what the goal is yet. We're just in the process of starting the committee to align ECE 3 and transfer credit here because we do the NOCD to give them credit for 1101 and 1103. So we're just trying to make it a little bit more beneficial for the students to transfer more credits in. Does that make sense? Okay.
And then for those of you who don't know, the NOTC is the class that, is the test that students take in high school to complete their CTAE pathways, correct?
Yes.
That's the final test that they take to complete their pathways.
Well, there's an end of year test that is a required end of year test. They have to get an 80 or higher. And then the NOCD is an optional. The school has to pay for a student to take it. Some schools, they require all their students to take it. Some it's optional if they request it, if they're planning on transferring to a college, but if it's not required. But
I convoluted the two. I'm getting so much clarification from this today.
They can, if they've graduated, then they come to me, they can still go back to their high school and request to take the NOCD exam. So, and once they get that score, I believe, I want to say 80 or higher, but one of these has a 70 or higher. They can transfer those credits in. So hopefully that helps a little bit too. Okay, I know we got off track a little bit. Let's see, we are going back to our offerings. What happened? COVID happened, everything went online. Students loved and got used to having everything online, and it was hard to get students back here on campus. I am dragging, and then we used to be at attendance taking school. All of TCSG is now non-attendance taking school, so we can't require them to come, but we can be creative and give them a class grade for attendance. We can require them to come for a certain amount of hours, of course, like for practicum and internship. We can have class quizzes that we give grades for, so they know if they are not coming, it's going to ding them. A lot of students are willing to take a letter grade for not coming to class, for not, being here. Two things, the TCC for the basics, we want to be able to say it's online because it's attractive to take it all online. The only thing that we haven't been able to do completely online with 1105 is the CPR first aid training because of the skills checkoff. They can do the reading part of it online. But before COVID, I used to meet with 1105 every week. Every week we would start with a little snack of the day that students come in and share and have this experience of, let's create a snack that the children would make in the classroom that's safe and friendly. It's just hard to get students back on here. So with the new instructor coming on, we'll be revisiting a lot of class offerings, times, dates. So some of this may change, but we're early childhood. The more hands-on, the better it's going to be. It's just hard to get students to come back on campus. So it has been a significant struggle. A lot of students, I don't want to say a lot, some students prefer to be on campus. So what I've done with that 1105, there's 3 or 4 required class dates. And then I offer optional lab days on the other dates that aren't required for those students that do want to be amongst their peers and come work in the lab and work on projects. So that's what I've been doing. But we will be revisiting that. I'm afraid if we add too many class visits, it's going to push students away because they want it online only. So, the importance is having students that are educated with hands-on resources here on lab, working with the manipulatives. I think that's the most important. But of course, we're business ran. They want numbers and retention and completions. So it's a balance, of course, as well. But I think we all see the value of coming to class regularly. Okay.
Hey, Paula, I have a question. Years ago when I was in class at Southeastern Tech for early childhood, there was some times that I could not be in attendance when attendance was required, and they Zoomed me in. Do you have that capability in your classroom as well? So
that's another thing that we can
sort of be there, and get that kind of interaction that they need when we're talking about children, being able to ask questions and all of those, but not have to travel. I didn't know if you had. I remember seeing your drop-down screen, but I didn't ask if you had that capability.
We do have the ability to offer asynchronous and synchronous classes online, meaning like synchronous, we meet like a video webinar the same day, the same time. And then the asynchronous is it's online, but you work at your pace. So that's what I've been doing. We do have the drop-down screen, but we don't have the cameras in here to be able to record other than what I have right here in my office at my desk. I wouldn't want to present a class right here, but that's something I can add into my budget at my next advisory committee is to request recordings. I can record in the library if I take a class in the library, but a lot of other classes schedule the library lab for that reason, so they can be recorded.
Well, this might be another option for some of the individuals that can't drive in or work during the day and have their children at night and can just jump on, whenever you have classes. So.
Right. And that would be, the next question would be, do we schedule it during our normal scheduled class time? But that's probably when they're at work. Or do we have our scheduled class time and record it for them to watch later and respond, when it's convenient for them, which would probably be a better option too, to have it during our class time and then record it for later.
I love that this conversation has come up organically in all of the lunch and learns that I've done this week. This is the third one I've done this week with technical colleges. So childcare resource and referral, we have actually worked into our annual plan and been approved by DECAL to carry a little bit of that water for you, Paula. We are actually going to survey programs and ask them when, where, and how is the best time for you to access classes to go back and get your TCC or your diploma or your degree. And so that is worked into our activities for next year for 2026. We felt like we had some good ideas on how to assist you, but we didn't want to just approach technical colleges and say, it would be a really good idea if, when you just said, you're so short-staffed that sometimes you can't even get out into the community. So we didn't want to say, hey, this is just a great idea for you. We wanted to say, hey, this is a great idea. And we're willing to carry the water on that. So Michelle, that is also something that we're looking at in 2026 is we will be surveying programs to find out when is the best time for CDAs and TCSGs to be able to offer their programming.
That would be great too. Great information to kind of know how to offer our offerings with the upcoming semesters. Like I said, we got spring semester already scheduled, but for summer and summer typically is more online. We know that because students don't want to come to class in the summer, and that's the only way we can get them to enroll for summers because more offerings online.
Yeah, we figured this would be a long-term process. This would probably be like what summer, fall 2027 looked like. We didn't figure it because you guys have to turn in your class schedule so far in advance.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds great. Okay. Let's see the next slide. I think it's financial aid. Yes. So we talked about Pell, of course. Everyone has to complete their FAFSA during admissions, and it will tell them if they are awarded Pell money based on whether it's their income alone or their parents' income, depending on their age and their residence status, who they live with. So there's a lot that goes into play. I stay out of financial aid by all means. I just recommend them to go to financial aid. The only thing I do on my end is do a lot of digging for resources. I find resources, I share them, but then say follow up with financial aid. Decal Scholars is something I think most every childcare center works with. We work with them regularly. We meet with them at our IFCCs. I know everything was kind of on hold at my last IFCC.
Paula, it is still on hold. The money that may be coming in and that they're waiting on is probably going to finish out the individuals that have already started the program, is what I've been told from Decal leadership. And so I would not at this time, because of all of the budget cuts that Decal has had to put in, have students completely rely on Decal Scholars. And if they are new applicants, they may just be on a wait list.
The update we received yesterday, I reached out about that. The update that we received yesterday is in this exact moment, they're only following up with those CDA fees that are already, like you said, in motion. And that was the update we received yesterday. So like Michelle said, what the future of that looks like, we don't know. But that was the latest update we got as of yesterday, as they're only covering those CDAs that are already in process.
Okay, so right now they're not offering stipends or reimbursements for TCCs, diplomas, or degrees.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Or substitutes. So I know that was another thing that they were offering to help students come to class, and they were offering to pay stipends for substitutes to the schools.
I'm not sure. Yesterday, they just said they were only paying the current CDA fees of people who are currently like enrolled. They're not even taking in new. They're just,
Okay.
If they're already doing their program, they didn't cut their funding completely off, that they are following through with those fees. But as of yesterday, that was the only feedback we got. So I don't think they're probably doing the sub right now.
That's really helped our early childhood students having the Decal Scholars. I know you said that they got a budget cut, but that was a great selling point for our program and to help students that routinely come in needing funds to help get them through school. And we can get them through their diploma, usually at no cost if they qualify for the Hope Career Grant. But I still do a lot of digging for the Hope Promise, the Hope Teacher, and there's so many other type of hopes. And WorkSource Georgia also pays tuition assistance and supplies, transportation, and childcare on days they have class. Each county has their WorkSource Georgia, but we host an office on Wednesdays for our local Bullitt County WorkSource Georgia. So they're here on campus every Wednesday. So I always recommend students to go talk to them when we bring up financial aid questions.
Where are they located on campus on Wednesdays, Paula?
I'm not positive. My best guess is they're going to be here in the Jack Hill building. I'm sorry, in the Joseph Kennedy building, the enrollment services. So the opposite end down there where they have all the other admissions area. I believe it's probably going to be where Tiffany Williams and Sarah Beverly are down in the career resources area. And then, of course, we have a lot of OTC scholarships. Great thing about OTC scholarships that we house is one application for the umbrella of scholarships. There's not an essay. It only takes a few minutes, but they get plugged into all the different ones. There's community scholarships that they do have to apply specifically to each one. Those requirements may vary depending on who's offering it. We talked about the HOPE program and HOPE Career Grant. It does cover the HOPE diploma. Chelsea, you've mentioned, and I've gotten different answers on this one. I've been told from our registrar's office it won't pay for certificates declared students only if they declare it as their major. If it's embedded in their diploma, then it is covered.
So this was explained to me on Tuesday. Enroll your students, encourage your students to enroll in their diploma or enroll them in the diploma so that way it is embedded and they can TCC, they can credit out. They don't have to finish their diploma, but it gets paid for. But if they would like to finish their diploma, they can, and then they can roll that into the degree and still have money left.
Okay.
And so that's how it was explained to me on Tuesday was yes, it has to be, they have to enroll in that diploma, but they can complete their TCC credit hours that semester and then not finish their diploma. Or if they're encouraged, they said, hey, we learned a lot of really great stuff. I would like to keep learning. I would like to do a deeper dive, and it will be covered by HOPE. They can stay for that.
Yeah, the only discouraging part is when they're maybe advised to credit out, then our completion rates go down a little bit.
They do.
So definitely, but that's my job at my end. When we have them and, they're my captive students, we advise them and, we do encourage them to continue completion of their diploma because we do want that completion for our program.
Definitely.
I was going to say that's one thing that we've come up with as a challenge in the past is we know you want to keep your numbers and you want to enroll people. And when they wanted the TCC, they could only get 2 classes this time. And this other class that they needed was not offered at the same time. And
that's just the program administration. Yeah.
And then so I think hopefully that's been changed because TCC used to be like that too. We'd have people come and I was like, no, have your instructor give you those 3 classes at one time. They're like, no, they told me it wasn't offered. And I know that was to keep the student engaged longer into the program. But from DECAL's perspective, we have to have that TCC to have them as a main person in the classroom. But I love how you said, that's your job as an instructor to have them keep going. And we motivate them to keep going as well. But I do need them to have those 3 classes so that they can finish in one semester for their certificate, their TCC.
Yeah, no, actually, I would prefer them, if they know specifically they just want a TCC to just declare a TCC, but however, it doesn't cover the HOPE Career Grant if they're just requesting the TCC. But I would, prefer that, that's fine. Just declare those 3 classes. The basics, they can do all in one semester. The child development, they can do all in one semester. The only one we can't do all in one semester is the program administration, and that's just right now. Remember, we talked about offering that through the Connect and sharing with other colleges. That might be an option where we can offer it in one semester. But I would have never have advised a student not to take a TCC because I think how you mentioned it about it, because it's not covered under HOPE Career Grant or because it's not in our diploma. I would never steer them away from just a TCC. I will encourage the diploma, but the program administration is the only one I would say I can't give it to all 3 classes in one semester because 23-22 is one semester, then we alternate the next semester with 23-20, and it just keeps alternating right now. We just didn't have the staff to offer both at the same time. I've inquired probably once a year with the teacher that teaches that, Miss May, if we can offer it at the same semester, and she says it's too heavy. I spoke with Southeastern and Savannah Tech. I asked them if they offer it all at the same time. They do not either. They said it's too heavy. So I've been following up, seeing if we
No
can.
worries. I just need them to have, like, if they first come in, to have those basics.
Yes.
But I do understand that to get it paid for, they have to enroll in a diploma.
Mhm.
But and we'll encourage them to continue on and scaffold their learning. But we would like them to have that certificate as fast as possible.
Yeah, the basics and the child development specialist, they can get that in one semester, no problem. It doesn't matter how they declare themselves.
This is a question I have because I don't legitimately know. For Hope, do they have to be enrolled full time?
No.
So they could finish those credit hours in that first semester and potentially just continue to take one class at a time.
Say that again.
They could finish their TCC basic that they need, that Michelle needs, that other programs need. And then after that, they could simply take one class at a time. Is that an option? I don't know if Hope covers that. I don't know what that would look like for enrollment.
I'll look. There is a minimum, but it's not full time, but there is a minimum of
But there's a minimum of hours enrolled.
Yeah, so okay. I do have to look. I know it's not full time, that is not required, but I do got to see if there is a minimum before.
Okay, perfect. I was just wondering how we can, like we always talk about, sell this to teachers, how we can sell this to program administrators. Get your basics, continue on to get your diploma, and here's how you can go through that. Yeah, so if we can definitely find out what that enrollment looks like, those enrollment requirements, that would be great as well.
Yeah. And when I do advisement with students, whether it's in person or virtual, I'll tell them schedule 2 appointment slips because they're 15 minutes each. I like to have at least 30 minutes. Unless you're new, I'll even tell them like schedule in an hour because I love advising. Some people don't. I love advising. It's one of my favorite parts of my job. And I really like to get to know who they are, what their goals are, what they want to do, how do they want to get there, what obstacles do they have. So I shut my phones off, I shut my door, I shut off my email. They know they have me, for that time that they scheduled with no distractions, because I really do feel like that makes so much difference in how they go about being successful in their program when they're given that type of attention. And I think that does help give them a thorough understanding of our program and the offerings so that they feel confident going through the program and how it works. So we do take a lot of pride in our advisement registration. I'm just fortunate. I love to do it.
We have here on the screen Paula's contact information as well, because we are getting to the 45-hour. But do we have any follow-up questions? Any questions for Paula?
I'm looking at some of the questions. I think it's 2 classes, but maybe changing to 3.
So Lana is with Oconee Fall Line. So she is their director there. Well, I mean, you probably meet at IFCC, but for everybody else, she is the faculty there at Oconee Fall Line for ECCE. So 2, maybe 3. I think 2 could possibly be doable for students, and I'm hoping just for time's sake, and like we said, most people going back to college have families. Hoping that it doesn't get bumped up to that 3 classes. That would put some people out of completion.
Okay, that was regarding the Hope, the minimum of 2. Okay, yeah, I can look real quick. I know we're at the end of the meeting, but I can pull it up really quickly if anybody has a moment where I can pull it up.
And for everyone, we will be uploading this to our YouTube. I did record it. We'll be uploading it to our YouTube. It will be shareable for other directors, for staff, for teachers. You can use it to go back and just remind yourself of some things we talked about today. So when new staff come on, you have it as a resource to say, hey, if you're coming in with your CDA, let's go ahead and push you through your TCC so you're not paying for renewing your CDA again in 5 years or things like that. Or maybe just want to skip the CDA altogether and have them take this 1 semester of work to complete their TCC. So you will have this available to you as a reference tool as well.
Okay, it does say for award amounts for the Hope Career Grant, for 1 to 2 credit hours, says 125 per semester is what they'll cover, which covers our fees. Our fees are like 107 a credit hour. 3 to 8 credit hours, 250 a semester, 9 or more credit hours, 500 a semester. So it sounds like based on there is not a minimum. So like you said, if they want to take one class, which is 3 credit hours, they're going to get 250 a semester.
So that would be more than the credit hour that you all charge.
Yes, 107
Perfect.
per credit hour, I believe, right now.
Okay.
And then any other eligibility, I believe it just says, if you're pursuing a GED are eligible. Let's see. They're eligible for non-citizens, but you do have to be a legal resident of Georgia, meet enrollment requirements, meet academic achievement standards, be in good standing, and not exceeded their maximum award limits for the HOPE program. And I have seen that where they have exceeded all their HOPE hours and they come in and they have to pay out of pocket because they don't get Pell and they've used all their HOPE. So then it does become a cost. Okay.
Well, do we have any burning questions as we wrap up here? Any questions? Anything pop up while she was talking about HOPE or anything else that we didn't get to cover? I think we covered everything. I mean, not anything we didn't get to cover, but was there anything that's burning question that you would like answered? All right. If not, I'm so proud of us, Paula. This is my third one in a row. We are right at that 12:45. The housekeeping has been wonderful on this lately. Paula it looks like put in the chat box the link for financial aid and HOPE grant. So if you would like to pull that up, and then that will always be in our resources as well when our coaches go to send this to programs. All right.
And thank you, Chelsea, for hosting this and organizing it and getting everybody together. So I think it was very beneficial to all of us.
Absolutely. I will let you guys get back to the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a great day. Yeah.